You know that feeling, right? You've been working hard, not just for a few months, but for years. The money comes in with that monthly paycheck, and for a moment, you feel a sense of relief. But then, life happens. The rent or mortgage, the car payment, groceries, the electric bill, and just as quickly as it came in, it seems to vanish. You look at your bank account at the end of the month, or maybe the end of the year, and you just have to wonder, after all that work, all those hours, where did it all actually go? If that question hits close to home, I really want you to hear this. You are absolutely not alone in feeling this way. And more importantly, this doesn't mean you're feeling with money. Not at all. It means you're probably caught in a very subtle, almost invisible cycle. It's a cycle that affects millions, even people earning really good salaries, often without them ever realizing what's truly happening just beneath the surface of their daily finances. So let's talk about this cycle. Let's give it a name. We can call it the stuck money feeling. It's like being on a financial treadmill. You're running, you're putting in the effort, you're getting tired, but you're not actually moving forward. Your salary comes in, life's expenses happen, and by the time you look up, there's little, if anything, left to show for all that effort. It's a deeply frustrating place to be, and it's so incredibly common that most of us just assume it's, well, normal. But it doesn't have to be. And look, this isn't just a feeling we have, it's a reality backed up by data. Financial awareness studies from major institutions consistently show us the same picture year after year. A huge number of working adults, even those we'd consider middle income or upper middle income, are living with an incredibly thin financial cushion. We're talking less than 3 months of savings to cover their expenses if their income suddenly stopped. That's a precarious way to live. It creates a constant, low-level anxiety, and it sets the stage for a much, much bigger problem that often goes completely unnoticed. Okay, so let's put a real name to this problem, because once you can name something, you can start to fix it. This isn't just about our lack of emergency savings. That's a symptom. The real issue is about a massive missed opportunity. We're going to call it the investment gap. And just understanding what this gap is, truly seeing it, is the very first step to finally closing it for good and changing your financial direction. So what exactly is the investment gap? Think of it this way. It's the ghost of your potential wealth. It's the shadow version of you that exists in an alternate reality, a version of you that took a small portion of your income each month and simply put it to work. The investment gap is the difference between the wealth that shadow version of you has today and the wealth you actually have. It's all the money that was never given a job. It represents the difference between just trading your time for money once, when you get your paycheck, versus letting that money go out and work for you again and again and again, even while you're sleeping. And this visual here really brings it to life. Take a look. The first bar represents the wealth you currently have. Now look at the second bar. That's your potential wealth. Here's the tricky part. When you're just starting out in your career, that gap between the two bars is tiny. It's so small you can barely see it. It's easy to ignore. You think, I'll start investing later when I earn more. But then 10 years go by, then 20, then 30. And thanks to the incredible power of compounding returns that you missed out on, that little gap doesn't just get bigger, it becomes a massive, enormous chasm. This is the true cost of inaction. So the big question is, why does this happen? Why does this gap exist for so many smart, hardworking people? I promise you, it's not because you have a character flaw or because you lack discipline. It all comes down to psychology. There are two incredibly powerful forces, two silent wealth killers that are literally hardwired into our human brains and our decision-making processes. Their names are present bias and lifestyle inflation. Let's start with the first one, present bias. You can think of this as our caveman brain at work. From an evolutionary standpoint, this bias makes perfect sense. Our ancient ancestors' brains were wired to prioritize immediate survival above all else. A handful of berries you could eat right now was far more valuable than the possibility of a big, successful hunt next week. That deep-seated instinct is still running the show today. Spending $50 on a great meal out with friends tonight feels real, tangible, and satisfying. It gives us an immediate dopamine hit. But investing that same $50 for a reward that's 20 or 30 years away, to our brain, that feels abstract, distant, and unreal, so our brain heavily discounts its value. It chooses the immediate pleasure every time, unless we consciously override it. And this leads us directly to the second silent killer, lifestyle inflation. This is something almost everyone experiences. You get that long-awaited raise, you land a promotion, you switch to a better-paying job, and what's the first thing that happens? The apartment gets a little bigger, the car gets a little nicer, the vacations get a bit fancier, the takeout orders become more frequent. As your income grows, your expenses have this sneaky, quiet way of expanding to consume it. It happens so gradually you barely notice. You feel like you're doing better because you're earning more, but in reality, you're not building any more wealth. Your savings rate stays exactly the same, or sometimes it even goes down. This means that a bigger salary doesn't close the investment gap, it actually makes the potential gap even wider. And where is all that extra money going? Well, beyond the big things like housing and cars, it's often death by 1,000 cuts. It's all those small, seemingly insignificant monthly subscriptions, the streaming services, the food delivery apps, the cloud storage, the premium memberships for this and that. Each one feels like just a few dollars, no big deal. But when you take a moment to add them all up, that monthly total can be shocking. It could easily be a very meaningful gap-closing investment that's just leaking out of your account every single month, without you even thinking about it. We have covered a lot so far, but the most important part is coming right now. If you leave without hearing this, watching this explainer was not worth it. Stay with me. What comes next can completely change the way you think about money. Okay, we've talked a lot about the problem. Let's shift gears and focus entirely on the solution. Because there is good news, really good news. Closing the investment gap isn't about becoming some kind of financial genius or taking massive speculative risks. It's about building a few simple, powerful habits that consistently put the odds in your favor. Let's break these down, because each one of these habits is a crucial piece of the puzzle. First, and if you only do one thing, do this. Automate your investing. This is the single most powerful hack. It means you set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to your investment account that happens the moment you get paid. You pay your future self first, before you even have a chance to see that money and think about spending it. This completely removes willpower and emotion from the equation. Second, learn to think in percentages, not in absolute dollar amounts. Commit to investing, say, 10% of your income. This builds an unbreakable habit that scales with you. Whether you earn $50,000 a year or $500,000, you're always investing 10%. It's your built-in defense against lifestyle inflation. Third, do a regular financial review. This sounds intimidating, but it's not. It's just 15 minutes once a month to look at where your money is going. Awareness is always the first step to change. Fourth, you need to truly understand the power of compounding. Don't just know the definition, feel its impact. And finally, number 5, keep your long-term investment money in a completely separate account at a different institution if you can. Create friction. Out of sight, out of mind. It makes it much harder to dip into for casual, everyday spending. And if you really want to feel the impact of that fourth habit, understanding compounding, just look at this number, $200 a month. For many people, that's a couple of weekly food deliveries and a few subscriptions. It's money that can be found. But when invested consistently over 25 years with a reasonable 7% average return, it can grow into over $160,000. This isn't magic. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It is simply math and time working in your favor. When you see the actual numbers, the motivation to start, even with a small amount, becomes absolutely undeniable. So, knowing the good habits is only half the battle. You also have to be ruthless about avoiding the opposite habits. These are the behaviors that actively widen the investment gap every single month. Waiting for that bigger salary is probably the costliest mistake of all. It's the "I'll start tomorrow" trap. You lose your most valuable asset, time for your money to compound. The second one, trying to invest what's left over at the end of the month, is a recipe for investing nothing, because for most of us, there's never anything left over. And that last one, social comparison spending, it's letting your friends' or neighbors' vacation photos on social media dictate how you spend your money. You're letting their priorities drain your future wealth. Now, let's make all of this feel more real. I want to tell you a quick story about a woman named Priya. She's a software professional, smart, successful, and for a long time, she was stuck in this exact cycle we've been talking about. Her story is so powerful because it proves that a major change is not only possible, but can be absolutely transformative. And the change itself doesn't have to be some huge, dramatic event. For about 10 years, Priya's income grew steadily. She got promotions, she changed jobs, her salary went up and up. But her net worth? It stayed almost completely flat. Her turning point, her aha moment, came during a simple workplace financial workshop. The speaker put up a chart, just like the one we looked at earlier, showing her potential wealth versus her actual wealth. Seeing that gap visualized for her age and income, it hit her like a ton of bricks. She didn't go home and sell everything or make some huge risky investment. She did something much smaller and much more powerful. She simply went home, logged into her bank account, and set up an automatic transfer of just a few $100s to a new investment account, scheduled for the day after every payday. And that one simple automated action changed everything for her. It wasn't about the amount of money, not at first. It was about the psychological shift. As she later said, it was about a fundamental change in her financial direction. For the very first time in her adult life, she was actively and systematically closing her investment gap, instead of just passively watching it grow wider every single year. That small action gave her a profound sense of control and optimism about her future that she hadn't felt in a decade. And Priya's story really brings us to the most important mindset shift of all. The real path forward in building wealth is less about chasing a specific final number, and far more about choosing the right direction day after day, month after month. The journey to financial well-being, to closing that gap, it starts not in your bank account, but inside your head, with your mindset. Financial awareness research points to these 3 crucial shifts in thinking. First, you have to shift from an income identity to a wealth identity. Stop defining yourself by how much you earn and start defining yourself by how much of that income you keep and grow. It's a subtle but profound difference. Second, you have to reframe investing. It's not an optional luxury for when you're rich. You have to see it as the most important bill you pay each month, a bill you owe to your future self. You pay your landlord, you pay the power company, and you pay future you, non-negotiable. And third, you have to accept that real, lasting wealth isn't built in loud, dramatic, exciting moments. It's built in the quiet, consistent, and frankly, boring years that nobody ever sees or talks about. So please, hear this. The whole point is that this journey isn't about being an expert. It's not about timing the market perfectly or picking the one magic stock. Are you going to make mistakes along the way? Of course, we all do. But the people who actually succeed in building wealth, the people who close their investment gap for good, they are not the ones who got it right every single time. They are simply the ones who started. They started small, they made adjustments along the way, but they never ever stopped. Consistency is their superpower. Building wealth is not a destination you arrive at one day. It is a direction you choose every single day. Small awareness, small habits, small decisions, they quietly add up to something much bigger than you realize right now. Before you go, if this explainer gave you even one useful thought about money, share it with one person who needs to hear this right now. That one share can bring this awareness to someone silently struggling with finances, and it helps Money Geeks reach more people who truly need this. Think of Money Geeks as a knowledgeable friend. Like this video, subscribe to Money Geeks, and tell us in comments what money topic you want next. If this video brought real value, support it with a super thanks. Every bit of support gives Money Geeks the strength to keep going. Thank you for watching and caring about your financial future.